All right, so uh, you know how some folks say truth is stranger than fiction?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Well, get this. We're diving into the art world today. And let me tell you, this story is going to make Indiana Jones look like an amateur treasure hunter.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
We're talking about painting, see? This painting, it was just hanging out on the kitchen wall, totally under the radar, and then boom, next stop, the Louvre.
Whoa, from kitchen to Louvre, that's quite a journey.
You said it. And the artist behind this masterpiece, well, his name is Cimabue. Probably not a household name unless you're, like, seriously into art history.
Yeah, Cimabue, he's a fascinating figure, kind of like a bridge between the medieval and Renaissance periods.
Okay, so back up for a sec. For those of us who, maybe slept through art history class, who was this Cimabue guy? What's so special about this painting of his that's got everyone freaking out?
All right, so picture this. It's the late 1200s, and the art world is still, pretty much stuck in the Byzantine era. Everything's very, how do I put this? Think lots of gold leaf, very flat figures that look kind of stiff and not very lifelike.
Right, right.
But then Cimabue shows up and he starts doing something different. He starts injecting more naturalism into his work, giving the figures more emotion, more depth.
So like a proto-Renaissance man in a way.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the prequel to the Renaissance. And this painting that we're talking about today, The Mocking of Christ, it perfectly captures this shift that he's pioneering. It's not huge, actually. It's a small panel. Painting experts think it was probably part of a larger work, maybe a diptych, which is like a two-panel altarpiece.
Okay, so like those photo booth strips you get at the mall, but like 1,000 times fancier.
Haha, yeah, something like that.
But here's the really crazy part. This thing, this priceless piece of art history, it wasn't hidden away in some vault or, a private collection. It was literally just hanging out in this elderly woman's kitchen in northern France.
You imagine, right.
Talk about flying under the radar.
And you know what? This kind of thing, it happens more than you'd think. Remember a few years back when they found that Caravaggio, the one that was just chilling in an attic? Sometimes these masterpieces, they just blend into the background, people mistake them for something ordinary.
Yeah, crazy.
So anyway, this woman in France, she decides to get her little painting appraised, probably thinking, oh, maybe this is worth a couple €100, and then bam, the auction house is like, lady, you've got a Cimabue.
Oh, man. I bet her jaw hit the floor.
I know, right?
So this little kitchen decoration suddenly becomes like the biggest thing in the art world. What happens next? I'm picturing museums getting into these crazy bidding wars.
Well, the painting went up for auction in 2019, and it ended up selling for, get this, 24 million euros. Yeah, it set a record for a pre-16th century artwork. And to top it off, it was the first time a Cimabue had ever been auctioned.
So this thing was like the holy grail of art finds.
Exactly. And that's why the French government stepped in and said, hold on a minute. This is a national treasure.
Good for them.
They put an export ban on it to prevent it from going to some private collection overseas.
Makes sense. I mean, can you imagine the uproar if they'd let it slip away?
Oh, it would have been a huge scandal.
So how did it end up in the Louvre then? They didn't just like find it behind a baguette at a bakery, did they?
Huh. No, although that would be an amazing story. The Louvre, they actually managed to acquire the painting in 2023. They had some very generous donors help make it happen.
I bet that price tag wasn't cheap.
Not at all. But you know what's really interesting about the Louvre getting it? It gives them a chance to, really show off this crucial moment in art history, this evolution from the very rigid Byzantine style to the more humanistic approach that we see in the Renaissance.
So this isn't just about some lost and found treasure. It's about filling in the gaps in our understanding of art history.
Absolutely.
Man, what a story.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what other masterpieces are out there just sitting in someone's basement waiting to be discovered.
It really does. And that's what I love about art history. It's always changing, always full of surprises.
That makes you want to go poke around in your grandma's attic, right?
Oh, right. You never know what you might find.
Well, on that note, I think we should wrap things up. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Cimabue.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a real adventure. And, until next time, keep exploring.